Hey guys, welcome back to Studio Time and yet another episode about Terminator Dark Fate. And in this episode, I want to talk to you about the very last action scene in the movie. And the name for that cue is 7M51, 7M52, 7M53. So that also tells you that in total there are like 54, 55 cues in the total movie. So that gives you an idea like how much work this is when you score a film. And the total movie is about 2 hours 10. And then there's the end credits. So it's you probably need to come up with like 2 hours and 20 minutes of original music finally for this film. So I have the mix session open here, but I do want to talk about a little bit how I work, even though I have covered this section before in previous studio times on the different movies that I've worked on. But I want to talk you through it one more time. And that is that if we... Oh, by the way, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Okay, so did I say spoiler alert? So if you haven't seen the film, maybe you should skip this video and then come back to it after you've seen the film. Okay, spoiler alert. Did I say spoiler alert? Yes, I think I did say spoiler alert. Sir, could you please put in screen extremely big spoiler alert when this thing goes online? There's some people that want to see the movie, they're with the fingers in their ears. Well, it's going to be pointless. Somebody's going to die, okay? Somebody will die, okay? That's the nature of this film. Anyway, here we go. I'm going to put my glasses on, otherwise I have no idea what I'm seeing. So here we are. So we see this track right here, which is the time-based markers. And I want to talk a little bit through that. So you see some empty times, and you also see a couple of markers that talk about music solutions, but then at the same time, we see like a couple of things that happen in the screen. So here I wrote down low drone, mid tremolo, strings ponticello, tremolo, the drone fades out, an open fifth comes in, sound design windy, grace chord, soft grace is one of the main figures in this film, the strings go out, increase, small tension, drone, mid-range. Here the cue gets more emotional, the cello get intense. So I have all these little markers here. If we move on, we see a bunch of rep markers. So these are very specific big hit points that the director asked me to hit in the pictures. So I marked them, and then we will see when you look at the audio here, if I make that a little bigger, here we go. You see that these big hits are lining up with those red markers over here. A blue marker here that says drama coming up. Here we see a marker, Ref 9 has the upper hand, so Ref 9 is the other Terminator. So apparently this is a fight scene where the Ref 9 has the upper hand, and here we get crazy tension. Here we see a marker, Arnold wakes up. So maybe he was asleep before, maybe he was out because of action, who knows, you got to see the film. The other thing that you're seeing here is I made some harmony markers here, what the harmony is doing. So this helps me when I'm still in the writing phase, that if I had something in my mind and I make a piano map of what the chords need to be, that I type out the harmony, so then when I work on individual strings, I can see at the markers like what my intention was, like harmonically, so it speeds up things a little bit more. Here we see a marker, upper hand Danny, which is our main character in this film, so something goes well there for her. Here we have stop the rhythm, scary sustain, so I'm sure something is happening there. Then we just go down the list. You see the harmonic markers here that tells you what the harmony is. Calm down drastically, chord small, a little bit of drums. And here we see a marker for John, which you just have to see the film for that to make sense. And here we see a marker, Terminator dead. We don't know which one, but one of them died. And we see that Grace theme comes in here, the Grace harmony comes in here, and there we're going to diminuate to the end, and then that's the end of the cue. It's a pretty long cue. I think the beginning is, yeah, this is like an 8-minute cue, so it's pretty long. We also see all the meter changes here. And the meter changes go a little bit hand in hand with the tempo. So you see here what kind of meter changes I had to make sure that I ended on a certain shot that the director wanted the music to change or he wanted to emphasize. So we see a 3/4, 4/4, 2/4, 4/4. Nothing really too crazy here. It kind of stays within the quarter beat change. I think there's a few 3/8 in there. Oh yeah, here we go. So there's a 3/8 there, there's a 3/8 there, which means then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Is to get that that shot that I needed to hit with the music, and that's kind of it. That, you know, if there's a 3/8 here, the rest is still all like in quarter beats, which you almost won't feel that if you write a certain way. So in an action movie, you have to do a lot of meter changes. You have to do a lot of small tempo changes to really hit like the shots in action and things like that. So that's important here. Now, if we talk about the piece of music here, it's this whole action thing that very slowly builds up. It gets very frenetic at a certain point, and then at the very end, so big spoiler alert, something is going to happen to Arnold. And what I did there is that I took the original Terminator theme and I turned it into an Adagio. And again, this is like an homage to the original score of Brad Fiedel, and the movie really needed that. So if we go a little bit through the elements of this score, we see here a bunch of really big drums. We can solo those. These are really like big hits. So if I were to solo just the hits. Very big sounding, gnarly hits. We also have drums here that are now all being bounced into only 4 tracks. So we see 2-pan, surdos, and toms. Let's just see what that sounds like if I just play a little bit of that. Let's go here. I forgot to solo the other track because it was a little bit on the left side. Let's play it again. Very big sound. So this is a combination of stuff that I programmed and stuff that I played live. We'll show that later, how that all went down. So let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, this is like some big bass drums. I have a couple of concept bass drums myself, and I sampled them roughly like a year ago, and they have a really good sound to them. So here, when they get loud, it's not super loud. But it has a really nice deep quality to it and a really nice reverb of the room where we recorded it. So here we see medals and anvils. Let's play that. So these are faster rhythms that go really nicely with the programmed drums. So here we have 2 tracks. One is called Damage Drums and Huge Drums. So these are other drum samples that I've added to the original drums. So let's play those. So these are very metallic sounding drums, almost like trailer sound drums. And so I mixed them in a little bit with the acoustic drums that I recorded. Here we have some impact big metal sounds. Now, if you listen carefully, you hear a little bit of brass in there as well. So this is like a cross-convolved done with Kima, where brass and metal is just kind of working together in their own thing. Then we have timpanis. We have some drum resamples here, so let's play that. So these are normal drum rhythms, but what I showed you in the episode before is how you can quickly record that in and do some really creative sound design on that with some plugins. So this is an example where I absolutely did that. The next one is called Serum Bass and Bass Omnisphere, and most likely that's the signature sound of the Rev 9 that we covered in previous episodes. And it's that very aggressive sound that we talked about, that instrument, the Serum, which was really, really great to create that Rev 9 sound, and with Omnisphere, where there are sounds from the modular that are really playing through the Omnisphere with like some great editing capacities that are there. Then there's like some stuff that is not all that interesting. Now this is funny for people that want to score like big orchestral pieces of music, but wants to make it sound like really fat. So this is actually a sound from the Massive. It's a program that is released by Native Instruments a while back. There's now a new Massive out, Massive X. Really, really, really great synth. So I made so many presets for this synth. This one is called JXL 135, and it's basically a very standard saw wave, and I use that to double any part that is played by the basses or by the tuba to give it like some low end. So if we play it on its own, so it's a very sub-like synth, and basically these two tracks always follow whatever the basses are playing in the orchestra or the tuba, for that matter, to give it like a really fat low end. So that's why I use this synth for. Now here we have a couple of live basses, so let's play that. So very, very distorted. In a separate episode, we'll show you how those sounds are being made. But basically, it's a bass guitar through distortion, through an amp, and playing it and hitting it with sticks and playing it with pickups to get a really, really aggressive sound. So again, it was like so much fun to be the full contact composer on this movie, because I was able to play so many different instruments and so much fun to do so. Here we have more metal hits. We talked about this before, but let's just play them. So again, this is a typical sound that was made basically by just banging on stuff here in the studio. Sometimes there were metal cans, sometimes it was like a bar stool, sometimes it was a chair, or the metal racks in my garage where I store like a bunch of stuff. So we recorded all these type of metal sounds, and then, like I showed you in the previous episode, we just did a bunch of sound design on them with effects and pitch shifting, using sound design programs, Reactor. I mean, everything. The world is your oyster. Whatever you want to use. So it's very interesting to create sound design sounds with that. Let's see. We have a track here, percussion. Let's see what kind of percussion this is. So I can already tell you for sure that this is a percussion sound, because the track is also called sound design for percussion. So it's one of those metal samples that we did, pitch shifted down, and then play with the Valhalla reverb and with that FAB filter delay that I showed you in a previous episode to create these really, really out there kind of percussion sounds. Here we have a track that's sound design ambience. Let's play that. So I showed you a bit of this is when the episode that is about Danny's theme with the classic guitar, how I did like grainalizing effects on top of the classical guitar playing. Well, that's exactly what I did on this as well. But this is not a classical guitar. This is an electric guitar. And to do sound design on that was really satisfying in creating these really eerie drones for this movie. Let's go down a little bit. Then we're getting into the orchestral elements. So there's a section in this movie where it gets very Adagio for a second. Let me play that here. I think it's this section here. So this is the live string recording, very, very nice sound. We recorded this at Fox. Incredible group of players. So now we get to the brass. So let's solo those, and let's go to the section where we hear the Terminator theme. Let's see how that sounds with the real players. What an incredible sound. 32 people in one room just blasting it out. I mean, it's so great to hear a group of people play like that together. It's really, really satisfying. So that's kind of what is in this cue. And I did tell you a couple of spoiler alerts, but now I want to play the cue from beginning to end so you hear what this whole thing became. So here we go. There you have it. 7M 51, 52 and 53, the last action scene in this movie, musically played from the mix session, and we talked a little bit about the different sounds. Okay, thanks for watching, and I see you soon for one more episode of Terminator Dark Fate. Thanks.